Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an awesome life. It's another beautiful sunny day in Atlanta, and I wanted to talk about something that not only comes up for pretty much everyone, but still shows up for myself, even though I have a pretty good handle on this stuff. But hey, we're all human and we're all experiencing these human feelings and part of the density on this planet that is supposed to be our experience here, right? That we came here for, even when it's painful. So I want to talk about that. What is intuition and what is fear? Do you know when you're making a decision? It's usually big decisions when this shows up, when you don't really know which way to go, because you don't always know for sure what you're experiencing and what you should act on. So I'm going to help you with that, because I had to do something recently and I automatically knew, I already knew that what I was feeling was residual fear from what I was brought up to believe or think, or what I should or shouldn't be doing. I knew that. But it didn't make it any easier to deal with when it's coming in, when it's showing up and you're feeling it. Now, as I've shared with you, fear will always show up. Probably till the day you die, you're going to have some fear. The difference between being awakened and still in the ego state and the dense state is that you experience fear, but you don't react to it. You're not doing anything with it. So you're very aware, oh my gosh, I'm feeling fear. And then when you sit with it, you go, okay, it's a feeling. It's coming from all these things, the ego, what I've been told, my projection into the future of something that's never going to happen, of course. And then you sit with it, and all of a sudden it just doesn't have any power over you anymore. But what happens when you're going to make a decision, which is what I was doing, and you could feel the fear and tell yourself, I shouldn't do it. It's my intuition telling me this is bad because it feels bad. It doesn't feel right. All right, so let's talk about what intuition is. Intuition is strictly a knowing and a feeling. It's when that person walks in the room and no matter how much they're smiling, your gut is telling you that there's some negative energy coming off of that person. There's something not right. It's when you're going after that great job and somewhere in the back of your head and your gut feeling, your heart, you're saying, this isn't really what I want to do. I thought it was, but it really isn't. It's when you want that car and you think it's going to make you happy, and when you go to buy it, you don't really want it that much, but you end up going through with it anyways because, society tells you, yes, you're successful if you have the Lamborghini or whatever it is. It goes both ways, by the way. It can, you can actually move forward against your intuition, doing things that appear to be good when your gut tells you that's really not what you want or what you want to be. Now, here is when you differentiate whether it's fear or intuition. Let's say you're making a big decision and you're going to take a big risk in your head. In my opinion, there aren't any. Not really. And so you sit there with it and you get ready to make that decision. Maybe you're going to quit your job and go start your own business. That's a big one because I go through that a lot with people. I guarantee you fear's going to kick in. Why? Because anytime you make a move into outside of the box you've been living in, the comfort zone you've been in, you will experience some kind of resistance. Very rarely will you go forward and it's going to feel 100% right. There will probably be some fear involved about, especially when, if you're starting a business or doing something that is unconventional, something that you were told you shouldn't do. That is usually fear kicking in. Now, here's how do you sort those two out? It's it's when you sit with it and you ask yourself, these feelings I'm feeling, are they protecting me from something, or am I going to benefit more from experiencing this thing? Even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, is my gut telling me that the people are bad, or people are not being honest with me, or this relationship, maybe I've had this before, business partners, you're not feeling 100% about the business partner. Those are intuitive feelings that are telling you something that are not blatant. Fear kicks in when you're in a situation that puts you in puts you outside of your comfort zone. So if you're feeling those intuitive feelings and they appear as fear, ask yourself, is it because you're going outside your comfort zone? And then look at these feelings and say, okay, what I'm feeling is more me thinking about everything that can go wrong, and that's not intuition. Intuition isn't you projecting things. Intuition is just a gut feeling about things, whether you feel passionate about, whether you feel joy about it, whether you're excited. So you can feel excited about starting a new business and you really want this, and still have that fear that says, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Go back to your 9 to 5. This could fail. And then your gut feeling is saying, if I want to change my life, I need to do this. And then you have to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? Probably failure. There is no such thing. So you ask yourself then, what happens if that does happen? What happens if I go into this new business and it doesn't turn out the way I want it to? Is that so bad? Maybe you end up starting some other kind of business or meeting other people or have other opportunities, but it gets you out of what you're trying to get away from. But you're dealing with that fear in between point A and point B. And that is not intuition. It's you going outside of your comfort zone. I guarantee you 99% of the time what you're feeling is fear. Intuition is, I need to try this. Fear is when you go to try it and you freak out a little bit when you write a check. We do this with internet marketing. People have to invest in themselves. They have to purchase the education system, which they're going to learn. It's like going to college. I mean, we have no problem writing a check to, Harvard or whatever your community college, because I'm getting educated. But there's this stigma about going into this internet marketing and training and stuff because it's different. It's outside of our comfort zone. So people go, oh, whatever. So we all tell ourselves stories out there that you'll always find somebody that's going to tell you not to do it. Or this is a scam, or, what are you going after that job for? That's silly. You had a great job over here making more money and you want to do what for a living? You want to open a coffee shop? That's fear. When your intuition says, wow, in my head, I really saw a different life for myself. In my head, I saw myself really exploring outside of my comfort zone. Let's say you want to take a trip somewhere and you really picture yourself in Italy going to these vineyards and meeting new people and just taking a cooking class and spending some money that you probably in your regular traditional mind says you shouldn't be doing. You should be saving till you're 80, because that's probably about what age people are going to be able to retire now. And so you get ready, you plan the trip and you get ready and you place the order with Expedia and you've got 24 hours to cancel it and you go into panic mode. Oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I'm going to be your friends are, maybe your family says, isn't that expensive? Don't you have things you need to handle and you're spending that money? You're struggling with all this stuff and you're spending that money to go to Italy to go cook and wine taste? How irresponsible. And you have all this stuff going on, right? We've all been there, right? The judgment from other people, all this crap. That's why we're going to talk about that judgment thing. Never judge. Hey, listen, I'm going to talk to you Christians, right? Don't even judge. Christ, I just read a quote yesterday that somebody posted. Christ is quoted as saying, judge no one, not your worst enemy, not the dregs of the earth. Judge no one, because that's part of you. So anybody out there judging you, they're coming from a very negative, limiting place themselves. Fear comes from change. Fear comes from going outside of what you know and what you believe because you've been told it, and things that you experienced that you have decided you believe that are your protection system. That says if you do that, there's a chance you could fail, and so it kicks in, and then we call it our intuition, and it's not. So when you're in a situation and you're ready to go out and do something different outside your comfort zone, I guarantee you what you're feeling is fear. Now, if you're not feeling good about a person, if you feel like, you know what, they're smiling and everything they say seems right, but my gut is telling me not to trust them. I've been in that situation hundreds of times. As an investment banker, the deal always looked great. The guy was smart, and then my gut told me it wasn't right. Went through with it because 95% of everything checked out, and the other 5% was my intuition saying, this guy's not honest. And then finding out that you finish the deal and they don't pay the bill. Should have listened to that 5%. So it works in the reverse. Everything seems great and whatever, and then your intuition isn't fear because you're saying, wait, why am I feeling this? Because there's no fear involved. Yay! This great deal, and I've got, look at everything looks good, everybody's doing their job and whatever, and that 5% says, this is not good, this is not right, something's going to go wrong, and then you find out somebody was stealing money out of the company or whatever. That's when you listen to your intuition. When everything looks great, sometimes we think we're supposed to move forward. You'd be a fool not to. And we ignore our intuition so many times in those situations more than we do in the fear-based situations because we think, well, what do we have to lose? And it turns out that those situations I didn't listen to my intuition when everything looked great turned out to be the worst possible outcomes. And when I had fear-based feelings going into situations where my intuition told me I needed to do this, I need to learn this, I need to get outside of my comfort zone, I need to move forward even if it doesn't work out, okay, I know I'm going to be a better person from it, I know it's going to take me into a completely different place in my life, and then having all this fear going and moved past it, that's when things always worked out. And that's why I am where I am right now. I've completely changed my life and broke past this 95% fear and went with the 5% intuition. Because I sat with it and I looked and I thought, I know this is breaking away from what I know, what makes sense, what everybody else would say I should do. And that 5% told me, if you want to change your life, you've got to go outside of your comfort zone and you've got to not look at what you think could possibly be the worst case result from this, and know that even if that happens, you will be a better person for having experienced that situation, you know, whatever it is, because you're going to break through your fear, which is huge. Because that fear is not based on that situation, it's based on all the other stuff that's led up to that situation. So when you're looking at something and you're feeling these feelings and you go, is this fear, is this intuition? Ask yourself, am I stepping outside of my comfort zone? Number one. If the answer is yes, there's going to be fear involved. So look at the fear and say, okay, what is it I'm really afraid of? What does my intuition tell me? Okay, so let's put the fear aside and say, my intuition, if I do this thing, what's going to happen? What could possibly happen? Will I be okay with that? Will I be a more advanced person? Will I be better? Because I'm going to tell you something. Entrepreneurs like myself, we are totally okay with failure. We don't look at it as failure. We know that every time we go through those experiences, we become more advanced, more well-educated, better educated, more well-educated, better educated, and we open up doors for new things. In fact, I did a deal with a client a few years ago, and everything went wrong. I went with my intuition. The deal went south. I am now partnering with that ex-client, and we're launching a company with the best possible circumstances. Had I not moved past and gone into, even though the situation was a negative one, my intuition told me to go forward with it. Because I knew the people were right. And even if the deal went south, which it did, good things came from that. I established relationships that now I'm, 2 people that I worked with on that deal are now my business partners. We just formed a company. I want you to think bigger. I want you to think outside the box and say, if I go with my intuition, which is this big and the fear is this big, I will gain something, even if all of those fears come into my reality. But you don't focus on those. I hope this is making sense. Looking at the situation outside of your comfort zone, ask yourself if your intuition really says something great could come from this, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to. Am I afraid of that? Am I afraid of going into something that's not going to turn out the way I want it to, because that's still putting me outside of my comfort zone? I'm stepping outside my box, and God forbid if it doesn't turn out, somebody's going to say, see, I told you so, or whatever. Can you be okay with that? When you go into that zone where you stop asking other people for their opinions, unless they're living the life you want to live, and when you stop caring about what other people say and think about you, and you bless them, you just went into the biggest, most freeing, most empowering zone. And you will start to experience things both challenging and both mind-blowing, because now you have gotten rid of all of the restrictions, all of the limitations that we put on ourselves and others put on us, and you get to choose whether you believe those or not. So ask your intuition, what is it I want? I want a different life. I don't want to live this life. I don't want to be this person anymore. My gut tells me, even if I go into this and things don't turn out the way I want it to, excuse me, I'm still going to benefit in some way. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to, and believe me, you will. I've gone through some of the most horrible situations, and it opened up total worlds for me, completely different worlds for me, and it motivated me to really do things. Because I already broke through the fear, I already listened to my intuition. I went, and even when it didn't turn out like I wanted it to, I was a new person. I was bolder and happier, and I realized that wasn't so bad. And other wonderful things come from it, because now you have an attitude change. You don't let the fear drive you. You pay attention to the intuition. And you do it anyways, and you say, big deal. Do you know how much money I've lost on stuff? I don't look at any of it as a waste. I have learned so much from everything I've invested in. Everything. Because I make it valuable. And you can too. You can learn from it, or you can turn and blame people and say, oh, this and that, and they did. No, you make a decision and be responsible for it. You either listen to the fear or the intuition, and if you sit with it, you'll know which is which. Again, if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, you can tell yourself any story you want, my intuition, and all you're doing is listening to the same fear that's keeping you in that box that society and the whole world believes works, and it doesn't anymore. None of it works anymore. Step outside. Step past the fear. Listen to the intuition. Go ahead and break past the fear. It will empower you. It's going to feel so good. And it's still a little scary, but it's sort of like a roller coaster kind of scary. Like, you know, you're still locked in. It's fun on the way down, even though you have a love-hate. I don't know why. I have no desire to get on a roller coaster anymore. I got enough excitement in my life. I hope this is helpful because, like I said, intuition and fear isn't always with, negative things. It can be in positive situations where it shows up and you convince yourself to not do something. You have nothing to lose. I always say this, you can't make a mistake. You can't make a mistake. Even if the worst case scenario happens, you still can't make a mistake. As long as you are doing positive things, as long as you have good intentions, as long as you are trying to do your best, good things will come from it, even if they're learning situations that will take you into higher levels. If you are not acting strictly on the ego or the selfishness or the me, you're coming from a completely different place, then you may have some lessons to learn, and that's okay too. What's your mantra? I am whole. I am perfect. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loving, harmonious, and happy. Thank you for the miracles you're sending me, the opportunities, the ability to know what I should be doing and what is highest and best for me and everyone else, every energy around me. Sending you light, love, blessings, health, wealth, joy, and peace. Namaste.